Hi, I'm Mark Anderson. I have been in TV for almost 27 years now. I have directed for a majority of that time at local TV stations from Cheyenne, Wyoming to now Dallas, Texas. I've also had a rock show. It was about 2 years ago called All Jacked Up, and I got really entrenched with the local music scene. At that point, I interviewed national acts. I had numerous bands from around town. So every episode had local acts and national acts, and went really well for a season. Unfortunately, that's not anymore, but this is. So what I'm going to do every week is I'm going to do a review of either concerts, albums. I'm going to do also talk about local and national music news and kind of chat about that and how I feel about it. And I'd like you guys to come back and respond. And I'm planning to do this at least a couple times a week. So get ready to rock. We're going to have a great show. And also, I will be doing a webcast called Rock City. And that will be a show with me and a couple other special guests. And we're going to just kind of like sit around and talk about music, talk about what's current, maybe what's our favorite stuff from years ago. Like, for instance, coming up, there's a Rubber Plant concert in Dallas in June. We can talk about that, who's going, what their thoughts are about a possible Zeppelin reunion tour next year. And we're going to hit all angles of music. So stay tuned for the Rock City review, which will be a couple times a week, and I'll review things in the Rock City show, which will be once a week with a full cast on board. This week, I'm going to kind of start things off slow and do it just myself. So join me. I'm going to talk about the Revolver Metal God Awards that happened last week and let you know my thoughts of what I saw. And hopefully you guys will chime in too. All right, rock on. Hi, I'm Mark Anderson, and welcome to the first episode of Rock City Show. This week, I'm joined by my co-host, Spike. And in future episodes, I will have other guest co-hosts, but this week we got Spike, and he loves the rock, just like I do. So the first week, we're going to talk about the Golden God Awards from Revolver. That happened, it was at the Nokia Center in Los Angeles, and it was quite the event. It actually went on for about 3.5 hours. It was pretty impressive. It was very, very rock and roll. It was hosted by Chris Jericho. You know him from Fozzy and also his wrestling career. He did a fantastic job. And they started off with Anthrax. Anthrax came out to open the show before even Chris Jericho came out there. And they came out and they did, let's see, what did they do? They did trying to think, they did something off of, why can't I think of it? Well, let me check. Hold on, right there. And they played one of their songs from Among the Living, which I believe was Among the Living. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm not quite sure. But the best part of the whole performance was Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown from Pantera came out. And they did a tribute to Jeff Hanneman from Slayer, who had just passed away earlier that day. They did This Love. So you kind of had a half of Pantera reunion, and it was pretty phenomenal. A great way to start the show. Then Chris Jericho came out and kind of set the stage for what was going to happen the rest of the show. The first award they gave out was the Guitar Award, and I went on a few months ago and voted myself, and so I had my winners that I thought should win, and the first one out of the gate was the winner that I picked too, which is John 5. And John 5 is amazing. If you've ever seen him with Rob Zombie, he's just brutal. But if you've seen his solo stuff, he can play bluegrass to rock to speed metal. He can do it all. He is one of those guys that a lot of people don't realize how phenomenal he is. A lot of people think, okay, he's been with Marilyn Manson and he's also been with Rob Zombie. But man, he is so versatile. So him winning the guitar award was well deserved. So I was very happy to hear that. And he had pretty classy acceptance speech as well, as he should. Then went to the best drummer. This was a little awkward because it was, anytime you have Neil Peart in the category of best drummer, hands down, he should win no matter what. I don't care who's in there, including Mike Portnoy, who I think is right up there. But he didn't win, and all respects to the guy who won, because he is a great drummer, but no one touches Neil Peart. And R.J. Hale won from Hailstorm, which is great. I've seen him live. He is fantastic, and he was even humbled by the people in the category. It's like, it's really hard to like say, yeah, I'm better than Neil Peart. So, but props to him. He did a great job. He's a great drummer, and congratulations to RJ. I've met him before. He's a cool dude. And anyone that even is in the same breath as Neil Peart, horns up. Okay, so also in the category is Ray Mayorga from Stone Sour, who's another phenomenal drummer that you could stand his own with RJ and the best. I think the weirdest thing that I saw all night, and I'm not a big fan of this band, doesn't mean they're bad. Dillinger Escape Plan. For me, it's just I'm just not into that kind of metal where you really don't have the vocal presence like other bands do. He's more of a screamer, and I get people like that. Not so much for me. But he came out there, and you could tell when he turned to the drum kit, he cut his forehead like a wrestler. So he was bleeding. It's like, okay, that's been done by Iggy Pop. So I thought it was kind of ridiculous. And then Chino Moreno came out from Deftones, which they kind of did. He actually kind of, I'm not sure Dillinger Escape Plan's lead singer's name, but he kind of sang a little more when he came out. But then they had at the very end Crash the Drum Set. Huh. Who did that? Oh, The Who did. So I thought that was just kind of lame. It was just like, if it was original, that'd been one thing, but been there, done that. They just combined Iggy Pop with Keith Moon, and so. But that was, for my taste, the least impressive part of the whole show, and they're trying too hard. For me, they were trying way too hard. All right, moving on. Okay. All right, so the next category was the most dedicated fans. All right, nominees were Black Label Society with Zakk Wylde, Slipknot, which they have a huge fan base, which is called the Maggots. Rammstein, I guess their fan base is pretty big. Black Veil Brides, and Him. And I'm not familiar too much with Him. I know they're from the UK, so I guess out there they have a huge fan base, but they ended up being the winners. And it was just kind of awkward, not just because I don't think a lot of people over here are really familiar with them, but they weren't even there. They had a roadie come out and accept the award. It's just like, and even Marilyn Manson, when he was like going through and reading the award itself, he said Him. So you could tell even he was disappointed it was not Slipknot. So, oh well, I mean, the fans chose what the fans chose, so I didn't choose them. I chose Black Label Society. And then, which was pretty cool, they had Kerry King came out with Zakk Wylde, and they did a toast to Jeff Hanneman, who had just passed away, and he had two shots, one for Jeff and one for himself. Obviously, Zakk doesn't drink anymore, so he didn't partake, but they were both honoring Jeff from Slayer in the coolest way. Instead of saying moment of silence, it was a moment of loud. and so everyone cheered for him. So that was a really cool and a very cool metal way of honoring the fallen guitarist. Okay, so moving on, the best live band was definitely, this was well deserved. Slipknot won, and if you've seen Slipknot before, oh my God, there is like 9 guys and just insanity. So it's hard to beat them. So they were well deserved. There's about 5 of them that came out with Corey Taylor and Jim Root, both from Stone Sour. Clown came out, and one other guy who I didn't recognize, and they accepted the award. So that was pretty badass. The big talk from Europe right now is a band called Heaven's Basement, and there's a lot of bands were talking about them. They're kind of like an upcoming band, so I guess look out for them. I've seen them in the cover of Revolver magazine. Well, not the cover, inside, a lot of talk about them. So I'm going to check them out. Why don't you check them out too, and we can kind of compare notes on that. Hailstorm came out and did a performance. They did Love Bites, they did Miss Misery, and the best part was they brought David Draymond from Disturbed out and did Whole Lotta Love from Led Zeppelin. Man, that was badass. Them two trading off vocals was perfect. So if you have a chance, if you haven't seen it, get on YouTube, find that, and watch that. You will not be disappointed. Also, the Golden God Award this year was Rob Zombie. As you all know, Rob Zombie has been a fixture in the rock and roll scene for such a long time. I mean, before that with White Zombie. And from everything from his new album, which is phenomenal, Dead Say Superstar, I believe, all the way back until, of course, Hellbilly Deluxe, which it's going to be hard to top that one anyway, period. But so he won, and he came out there and gave a really cool speech, so that was well deserved. He's in the same ranks as Ronnie James Dio now, and you can tell he's very well humbled by that. The best vocalist, and I picked the best vocalist too. And this was actually a pretty cool speeches by Corey Taylor from Slipknot came out, and Stone Sour, and he actually teared up. And he was very choked up, he was very honored, and he was straight from the heart. And Corey Taylor, if you have not listened to any of his Stone Sour stuff and just know him from Slipknot, go pick up House of Bones Part 1 and 2. You'll be blown away. And plus Sound City. He's in Sound City as well, and he is the highlight of that album for me, along with Tom Petty. And the other best vocalist nominees, which I was coming on the fence, but I know Corey Taylor he's the guy right now. Maria Brink from In This Moment, who I love. She's amazing. And she is total rock and roll. And then Chris Cornell. And Chris Cornell, man, the new Soundgarden is phenomenal. It really, really leaves off where the last one did in the 90s. It just takes over from there. And if Corey Taylor was not on that list, I would say Chris Cornell in a heartbeat. So I was really torn, and and Maria's right up there too. I love Maria Brink. So, but regardless, it's Corey Taylor, and he rules. Another performance that was pretty amazing. This was close to being the highlight, besides the one I just mentioned with Hailstorm and David Draymond, was Five Finger Death Punch. I'm a huge Five Finger Death Punch fan, and they came out and did one of the songs from their last album, and then they did a new song with Rob Halford called Lift Me Up. Man, that was phenomenal. Of course, he's a metal god. Anytime you have Rob Halford with anyone, he's going to blow the other lead singer away. But he kind of took a step back, and he kind of went into the fields where he needed. But man, when he was singing, that was everyone's attention was right there. But him and Ivan have a great chemistry. And that song Lift Me Up, when it comes out on the new album that's supposed to be out in the summer, I believe it's June, they're doing a 2-part album, kind of like what Stone Sour did with House of Golden Bones. They're going to do release one album in June, I think the other one in September. And the one in June is going to be released with Rob Halford. It's going to be killer, I guarantee you. If it's anything what I just heard. The best new talent, I kind of had a little, it's on the fence with this. There wasn't really a lot of bands on that list that I had heard of. And so when Device was up there, and it's David Draymond's new band, it's kind of like, okay, he has a new band, but he's been around for, last 12 years. So for him to, get that award, it's like, I get it because it's a new band, but it's not like he's a brand new talent. So it is all right. It is what it is. Okay, comeback award, I had a huge problem with. Huge problem with. A bunch of the bands on there, I was kind of like, but they had, and I liked Tenacious D. I love Jack Black. But you go up against Soundgarden, it's like, really? Really? I mean, Tenacious D is really, for me, is more of a parody band. And I get it, they're cool for what they do. But, man, it's not Soundgarden. Soundgarden, I mean, has released like 8 albums, give or take. And I think Tenacious D has 2. And really, I didn't even know they were on a comeback. But the Soundgarden, that hands down, I don't care if that's who the fans picked, they should have overruled it. Period. Because Soundgarden, their new album is, once again, like I said before, just phenomenal. So for them to kind of get overlooked like that was ridiculous. I was like, and seeing Jack Black come out there, I was like, oh, that was cool and blessed, but So that pissed me off. All right, so one of the favorite performances that I saw was Stone Sour. They came out and did a couple songs from House of Golden Bones, part 1 and 2. And the coolest thing is, and I know some fans are divided when it comes to Stone Sour and Slipknot, because Corey Taylor and Jim Root are both in both bands, and they both sound extremely different. And there can be kind of like, I mean, some fans don't understand that it's okay to like, a different type of music, even though you hear like Corey Taylor just like belting it out and just like screaming, then hearing him do maybe a little softer side. I think there's some fans from Slipknot that maybe don't get the Stone Sour yet. And I'm hoping that will change, because when they came on stage for the last song, they brought 3 of the other members up of Slipknot. It's almost kind of saying, hey, look, we're all in this together as one. We all support each other. Just showing that up there with those guys, it's like, okay, look, you can like Slipknot and you can like be aggressive and just like that. But some days you want to be over here, like be a little more mellow, like a little more Pink Floyd-ish, a little more just like melodic. You got Stone Sour, but the common thread is you have Corey Taylor and Jim Root are in both bands, and they're both so talented. So think about it. If you're either a Slipknot fan or a Stone Sour fan, think about being both fans, because they're both amazing bands. Check them out. Okay, the category I really don't care about, but I'm going to mention it because it's on the show, was Most Metal Athlete. And for me, the Most Metal Athlete should have been the person that's on the stage, which was Chris Jericho. But ironically, it was Triple H who was filling in for Chris Jericho's band Fozzy. So, you know what? It doesn't get more metal than that. So awesome. So if there has to be a category, that was an undisputed winner. All right, coming down to Song of the Year. Song of the Year, hands down, I already had my winner. And I was really hoping they were going to win. I'm friends with the band anyway, so I'm not being biased because the song kicks ass, which is Blood by In This Moment. So you guys, you should have won, hands down. Because Maria is a badass. But the band that won instead was Black Veil Brides. And honestly, I have not heard that song. I have their first album. It's okay. Let's get some catchy songs. I have not heard the song at the end, but I can tell you right now, this should be the end of them. They came out there, pompous jackasses. Here's a show for metal. And okay, you hear a few boos, that's okay. Your skin should be thick. You're freaking rock stars. They come out there and they flip the people off. They said, fuck you. It's like, you know what, guys? You come out there and get awards and you won 3 years in a row. You only have 2 albums? Well, fuck you. Because I just deleted the only album I have from you. It's gone. So, hey, good luck to you. Posers is what you guys are. All right, let's move on. All right, they had the. If you guys are a fan of Ghost, you know that they are in makeup, or at least one of them's in makeup. The other ones are um, basically like in a monk outfit, and they have their hoods over them. And it's called, I guess the guy on this album is called Papa 2. And if you guys have not heard of Ghost, you need to check them out. They're satanic as hell, and they're very 70s melodic rock. It's really, really cool stuff. James Hetfield is a huge fan of them. And I checked them out after hearing some rumblings in the rock scene, and man, Ghost is a real thing. So go check them out. Now they're called Ghost BC in the U.S. I guess for some reason, I'm sure it's like some reason that they get paid and some other band didn't get paid properly. Anyhow, check out Ghost BC or Ghost. I'll call him Ghost. So anyhow, the lead singer Papa 2 came out and he took off his one of those Pope hats and took it off and was saying, I'm taking this off for Jeff from Slayer in respect. And he introduced he introduced Danzig. And so that was really cool. I mean, that was, here's Danzig, who's been, with the Misfits and all that. And here's like this new band kind of like giving tribute to the band obviously they grew up with. And then Danzig came out. And I like Danzig a lot. And I think Danzig has a great voice. But man, his voice did not sound good on this. I was not impressed. I was very disappointed because I'm a big Danzig and Misfits fan. And he just sounded rough. He sounded like he didn't maybe warm up. I don't know. Towards the end, he sounded a little better, but when Doyle came out from Misfits, that was cool. That was really, really badass. I really enjoyed that. That kind of made that performance a little better and a little more like cool. But in all reality, I'm sorry if anyone doesn't agree with me on this, but Danzig's voice just wasn't there. He just wasn't hitting the registers like he usually hits. So that's okay. We all have our off days, and still all respect for Glenn Danzig. Then the Running Dame. Oh wait, I'm missing one. The Riff Lord, and the Riff Lord of all Riff Lords, and I can't believe he has not won before. I guess because they have a new album coming out June 11th. Black Sabbath's Tony Iommi. So now I'm thinking about it, he should have won the first Revolver Golden God Award. He should have been the very first one because he started this whole thing. So he's well deserved and got that, and he came out and that was like, amazing. He's one of my favorites. Go back and listen to any of those old Black Sabbath albums, and you'll understand what I'm saying. And then the Ronnie James Dio Achievement Award, of course. And once again, I'm kind of surprised, but I guess there's some other ones before them. Metallica. And man, Metallica is like, they have made thrash metal totally mainstream, which some people may say, well, they kind of sold out. I never have and never will, because they brought that music to the masses, and it needed to be heard. So that was so well deserving. They came out and they played Disposable Heroes, and they just kicked ass. So hearing them was just phenomenal. And James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, Robert Trujillo, freaking rule. So that is your first Rock City show. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the Metal Guard Awards twice. I went through and watched it twice again in case I missed anything. And I hope if you didn't see it, you can go on YouTube, or you can also go back and you'll probably watch it online on AXS. Join me next week on Rock City with my co-host. We'll be reviewing the new Rob Zombie CD, and I'll be talking about my experience at the Seven Dust show with Lacuna Coil and Cold Chamber from a couple weeks ago in Dallas, our last show of the season. And also, all things rock all the time. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Rock on.